Welcome to the Uplevel Dairy Podcast. This is the podcast for dairy owners, managers, and their trusted advisors who are looking to take themselves and their businesses to their next level of performance, resilience, and success in the dairy farming business. I'm your host, Peggy Coffeen, and it's my mission to bring you the stories and thought leaders to help take you to your next up level. If you listened to episode 1 of the Uplevel Dairy Podcast, you may recall our guest, Dueppengiesser, the impressive young manager at Milk Source's Rosendale Dairy, who talked about lowering employee turnover. One of the tools he credited was a book called Give Your Employees C.R.A.P. Care, Respect, Appreciation, and Praise by author and employee retention expert Jeff Kortes. Well, so many of you talked about Jared and asked me about this book, so I reached out to Jeff to invite him to be our guest. And so here we are today with Jeff Kortes to talk about the success formula for building employee loyalty. And you are in for a treat because Jared is jumping on with us again, along with his colleague Jessi Schoofs, manager of Milk Source's Clare family creamery's retail store, who is also applying Jeff's concepts to her team. This episode is sponsored by Uplevel Dairy Podcast founding partner Adiseo, a global leader in nutritional solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds. Welcome to the Uplevel Dairy Podcast, Jeff, Jared, and Jessi.
Nice to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right. So, Jeff, we're going to start with you, the author of this book that has had an incredible impact on these folks from the Milk Source team. Tell us a little bit about how you have been working in the agriculture sector to help businesses increase employee loyalty and reduce turnover.
Well, I spent 25 years in HR as an HR leader before I started my own firm about 15 years ago. And very early on in my career, I worked in egg processing, and then I worked for ConAgra, and I was responsible for 13 poultry plants, all the way from the feed mills to the grow out to the kill and cut. So, I mean, I've seen egg in a lot of different arenas. So that's how I really got my first exposure, and then how I learned more about it. Again, I continued to work in egg processing, and I learned about this philosophy back, 30 plus years ago. And the guy that I worked for was a visionary, and he always talked about caring, respect, appreciation, and praise. And we always used to describe it as, well, his name was Rick. We always called it Rick's crap. And so that's how I was exposed to it. And I continued to learn and grow and use the philosophy and learned a lot of things in a variety of different industries, but with a main emphasis in egg. And then from there, once I started my own firm, I got into hogs and beef. And so I've continued to spread my crap around across all the various egg industries as time has gone on. And that's how I got to where I am.
Oh, Jeff, we have the most fun plays on words with this acronym of C.R.A.P. today, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. As I like to tell people, my goal when I'm out there is I want to start a movement of crap.
Well, you are in the right place speaking to our friends in the dairy sector today, because in dairy, we talk a lot about crap, but typically in the context of it as a nutrient asset. But you define C.R.A.P. quite differently than our friends in the dairy circle. In a nutshell, what is crap all about?
Well, what crap is all about is how you treat people. The ultimate end result is you lower your turnover. I've had clients, and Jared's a good example. I mean, his turnover virtually disappeared applying the crap philosophy. But, it's about caring, respect, appreciation, and praise, because what I find is a lot of organizations and a lot of leaders, they care about their people, but they don't know how to show it. They respect their people, but then they do things that disrespect people. And oftentimes they don't give their people enough appreciation, show them enough praise. And I find that I'm able to break through to people, and all of a sudden they find once they start to apply the C.R.A.P philosophy that it all comes together. And my stuff is not complex, but implementing it and executing on it and doing all 4 phases, caring, respect, appreciation, praise, is where you get to be a very sophisticated manager. And I give both Jessi and Jared credit, because not a lot of managers do that. They embraced the philosophy. It worked. And kudos to them as leaders in their organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so as you just explained, Jeff, the principles are quite simple, and it all comes back to actually implementing and executing on those principles. And I think as we start to explore what that's looked like for Jared and Jessi, we'll see how this plays out in real life and how we can look at that implementation and execution phases of the C.R.A.P principle. Because, when you say it's simple, sometimes you wonder, can something so simple as, showing you care, showing you some respect, appreciation, praise, it all seems so simple, but does it really, really work? Well, let's turn over to Jared and Jessi to talk about how they have used what they learned from Jeff in their respective roles. And so, Jared, we're revisiting a little bit of what you shared on episode 1 of the Uplevel Dairy podcast, but I'm going to ask you to dig in a little bit more today to the key takeaways that you had from your first interaction with Jeff's teachings and that you were able to implement at Rosendale Dairy.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. What you said, Jeff, is I think any employer really wants to live by that and lead by that, but it's about being genuine and actually putting that into practice every single day. And that's the important thing is you can't be one thing one day and different the next. Sticking to what you believe and sticking with the culture that you want to have in your workplace is what really will make employees buy into that. And just kind of digging into how we and myself and the other managers here kind of have bought into this and have implemented it here. Just going down through the C.R.A.P, we really every day we have conversations with every single one of our employees, and it's not a half an hour conversation with each employee, but that little conversation that we have every single day, whether it's about work-related topics so that they can continue to grow and do a better job in their role here, or topics outside of the workplace, home, family, just to get on a more personal level and know our employees better. And with respect, we know how difficult the work is. It's long days, tiring days. It's cold out, especially now. And it's crucial to extend the appreciation that we have for that. And that kind of ties in the respect and appreciation, because sometimes that's what gets an employee through a day. We might not even know that they're struggling, but that show of appreciation could just get that employee through that day and help them to do a better job and be more motivated in their role. And then with the praise, just acknowledging a success or a win when we have it. We're always changing our goals because hopefully we're reaching them frequently. So if we just set a goal and we're not showing the appreciation and praise for the employees, then they're going to lose the respect that we desire from them. So that's a little bit of how we've implemented that here.
Yes, you've kind of explained it as a compound approach, really, Jared. So looking at that, the way that you act out the C for care, it takes a form of another C, and that's daily conversation, right? And then when you talk about the respect and appreciation portion of how you're applying these principles, you talked about acknowledging the difficulty and sometimes the extreme environments that your employees are working in right along, and you're working right alongside them too. But what kind of tactics or techniques do you bring in to really demonstrate the respect and appreciation piece? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I think with that, just with the respect is, and it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but being right there alongside them, no matter what they're doing, whether they're in the parlor or they're out in the barn, we're right there. Myself, the other leaders on our team, we're right there. And that in itself is just getting on an equal level and showing them that, we'll do the same thing right alongside you, and let's have a conversation while we're doing it. And with appreciation, some of the things that we do, it sounds very small, and I mentioned it in the podcast before, is just when we reach a goal, buy pizza or buy tacos, buy Monster energy drinks. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it means a lot to them. Also, as a company, we got gifts for Christmas, and some of their reactions on their faces just by getting a vest, it was just like I came in there and you'd have thought I was Santa Claus. It was just really good to see how much they appreciate that, and it goes a long way. And I don't think we even sometimes notice it or realize it, but it does mean a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you for explaining how you're really putting these principles into action. And just, for those that maybe didn't get a chance to hear episode 1, what have been the results of doing these extra things, having those daily one-on-one conversations, working right alongside your employees, and also making sure that you intentionally celebrate the wins along the way and do those little extra things. Like you said, maybe it's that vest at Christmas, or put in a bunch of Monster energy drinks in the break room. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate for a while now and have not experienced turnover. And I think another thing that we've really seen and experienced in the past month, even more so than before, which is really exciting to me, is the employee engagement and buy into the goals. So now I have employees that are asking daily, hey, where's our somatic cell count at today? How much? Where's our production at today? I mean, we never had that in the past, and it really is showing that they care, they're engaged, and that leads me to believe that if they're asking me where that's at, or they're probably doing a pretty darn good job in the parlor, because they certainly do care. So that engagement is exciting to me, probably more than anything.
Oh, that is so cool. Thanks for sharing that, Jared. And what that, shows, I think what that speaks to also is that, when you're doing your goal setting, right? And like that kind of first base goal was, hey, let's improve our turnover rate, improve our employee retention. And as you've gotten really solid in that space, now your next level, your up level, so to speak, has naturally become higher level of engagement. And that all translates back into results and your employees having a sincere interest in the success of the team and the success of the business. I'm going to toss it to Jeff real quick. Jeff, what do you think when you hear these stories of implementation of the C.R.A.P principle and how it's playing out in real life at Rosendale Dairy through Jared?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm gratified. because my success, I view it as when my clients are successful and achieve the results that Jared has achieved. It's very gratifying because it's one thing for me to go in and do a workshop or present like I did to the folks at Milk Source. But when I see the results, it truly means that I made a difference. Not only for the organization, but in the lives of the folks that work for Jared. And that's, for me, that's everything.
Yeah. It has to be incredibly gratifying, as you said, Jeff, to be able to see how your teachings from, almost a year ago are being played out and making a difference in the lives of not just these managers, but the ripple effect of the difference that they will make in the lives of the employees and their satisfaction in what they do. And hopefully, hopefully their outlook on their life as well. And so I'm going to switch over to Jessi now. So Jessi Schoofs is with us, and Jessi fits into the Milk Source team a little bit differently than Jared. And so I'm going to let you, Jessi, tell us about your role and LeClaire Family Creamery.
Thank you. Again, my name is Jessi Schoofs. I am the retail manager at LeClaire Creamery. And to kind of sum it up, we're part of the food group, and we are the ones that turn milk into cheese.
Awesome. And I mean, let's not downplay it. Like, we're talking award-winning cheese.
Yes. We're really proud of what we do. It's our initiative when folks come into the shop is they really, get that cheese experience. And so we really preach that to our team that, when people are coming in, we don't want them to walk out without a piece of cheese in their mouth.
Well, as a frequenter of LeClaire Creamery myself, I will testify to the fact that I've never left without cheese in my mouth or in a bag to take home. So, and personal favorite is the Chandoka, right?
It's a great cheese. Do you like the regular Chandoka or the cave aged?
Oh, aged. The older I get, the greater appreciation I have for cheese that's old as well.
Yes, that's won numerous awards, but that's a really unique cheese because I like it because it's got the 70% cow milk, 30% goat milk. It's a cheddar style cheese, and who doesn't like a good cheddar? So it's just a really fun cheese to sample out.
Yeah. So you get to work in this totally different sector of Milk Source. Like you said, it's the food side of the business. But, it doesn't matter if you are in dairy management, right? On the farm, or if in your end of the business. When we talk about employee retention, employee engagement, it's the same across industry, whether you're in dairy or whether you're outside of dairy. And so I'm really excited to hear from you, Jessi, about what you took away when you originally heard Jeff speak several months back and how you're applying that at the creamery.
Well, it did really take me back. Definitely as someone who's in leadership, and, experiencing turnover, you do start kind of questioning yourself and what can I do better? What I'm doing right now and doing the same thing over and over again, I'm getting the same results. So I think with part of the initiative with C.R.A.P, I think as a leader, there might be one or two things you're really good at, and you tend to lean into those qualities. So for me, I would say definitely the caring, but some of the other aspects, I don't know if I necessarily played out throughout the day like I should have. So it really kind of helped me lean in to my team a little bit differently. And I started seeing positive results. And I think when I started seeing those results, I thought, what can we do to continue to do this on a higher level? And for me, that was just getting my team involved. So we talked about the C.R.A.P principle during team meeting. And I asked some of the other managers for a coin because Jeff gave us a coin. So I asked for the coins.
Yes, the C.R.A.P coin. Tell us about the C.R.A.P coin.
And so what I do is when we have an employee that is exemplifying any of those values, they're given the coin. And part of the responsibility when you receive that coin is, number one, to understand why did you receive it. But number two, I want them to be looking within our team for folks that are exemplifying those values. And then when we have our team meetings, the person who nominated that person talks about why. What is the why behind it? And I just feel like that, praise and recognition definitely from a manager's standpoint is really important, but it's, I would say, almost more important in my line of work that it's coming from the team as well. I don't always see the day-to-day. I'm in the office doing a lot of the back end stuff. Our team is out, with our customers, with the public. And a lot of times, our teammates have a different perspective. And so it's really interesting because everyone is so different to see, what they value most in one another. The feedback that I've gotten from my team is that it just continues to provide more encouragement. And I think that it has unified our team dramatically with using this concept.
Yeah. And so just to explain a little bit about how that works. So literally there is a coin, right? There's a coin and it says C.R.A.P on it. Is that right? Yeah. And so what
I
happened?
don't have one with me. I should have been prepared. I'd show you a crap coin.
Well, I got a couple hanging around here at Clare.
Jeff, I can't imagine you don't travel without a few crap coins in your pocket.
I do, but well, give me a second. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to my cabinet and I will get a crap coin.
You will get one because I got more questions for Jessi. So the application here is you have this coin, the coined crap coin. That's a lot of puns in one spot there.
I love just starting off with, you're the recipient of the crap coin. So you kind of get, it's kind of cheeky. You kind of get a laugh about it, but really, the premise is, taking the time, catching people doing the right things. And, when we can do this, not only from a manager standpoint, but now we have the team behind, trying to catch people doing the right things. So many times, we catch people doing the wrong things. And, that sometimes takes precedence over people doing the right things. And so I think that, from a team level, it's just really empowered our team.
Yeah. And so what you're seeing then is really your team members are empowered to take this coin and give a verbal recognition to another team member to show the praise and appreciation for something that they noticed in their day-to-day. And so, take, for example, you have the retail store there at Clare Creamery. You have, the production side as well. What type of things do you see? What types of interactions do you see with your team members when they are passing on that coin? What are they recognizing and calling out in their colleagues?
Well, we kind of have this philosophy in retail, and a lot of it is just taking the time to kind of go over and beyond, but doing something nice for the next person. So, we have this list of duties that we need to get done. So a lot of times it's just someone saying, you know what, I know this needs to get done tomorrow. I'm going to help out my teammate and, do this for them. A lot of it is just hard work. It can be very, very stressful. I mean, we are a tourist attraction. So especially in the summer, it can get very, very stressful in retail, particularly, in the kitchen, because we'll have orders flying through. We want to get, people in and out in a good time. But it can also be very stressful because, in the shop, it's just, we have a lot of people outside. There's a lot of people, and we have a lot going on. So it can be a little bit overwhelming. You definitely have to be able to juggle many hats. And I think it's in those moments when another employee is saying, thank you. I saw that you went and did this. It could be something as running outside and clearing tables, even though that's not where your spot is today. It's just so many things going over and beyond, giving a customer, excellent care and customer service. So it's those kinds of things that, we try for them not to go unnoticed.
Yeah. And now you've empowered your team to recognize and call out those extra above and beyond efforts. And we can say that there's the intrinsic results of this, right? Like it's a good feeling, but have there been other results that are a little bit more tangible that you've noticed from adopting this into part of your culture?
Well, yes, I would say definitely they're more unified as a team. And so, I have a lot of part-time team members. And because they are very close, a close unit, especially as it pertains to employee turnover or covering shifts or somebody's sick. I don't know if you've ever had to, make a schedule out, but when you have, 15, 20 employees and someone's not feeling good and they're, reaching out for help, sometimes it can be kind of radio silent. But since we've been using, this process, I feel like our team is reaching out and saying, I'll cover it for you. I'll help you out. And so to be honest with you, it's kind of lessened my load because they really are taking so much more initiative.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Jessi, for sharing how the C.R.A.P principles and COIN are really just adding value and adding this higher level to your team. And Jeff, I see Jeff has taken out his C.R.A.P coin to show us.
Okay, and these things, people love them. I've spread so much crap across the Midwest. It's amazing. I've got crap coins everywhere, and people will forget who I am, and all I have to tell them is, well, I'm the crap guy. And as soon as I tell them the crap guy, they say, oh yeah, I remember you. So and again, that's important because I think it's. And I love the fact that, and the one thing I want to make sure I don't forget, Jessi talked about the fact that catching people doing things right. I emphasize that because all too often we just look for people doing things wrong. And we need to change our mindset because we do more right than we do wrong. And we wouldn't be in business if our people didn't do more right than we did do wrong. And we forget about that. And so I love Jessi's philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Jeff, do you have any questions for Jessi about the way that she has been taking what she learned from you and putting it into action?
Well, I think the one thing I loved is, and I have never had a client that's taken it and had the folks in their in their team pass the crap coin along. And she explained it to me beforehand. And I thought that is a very, very cool way to do it because normally I give these to leaders, and leaders, whenever they do something, they move the coin from one pocket to the other. And in this case, she has her team doing it. That's incredible. I love it. And she explained it to me beforehand. So no, I'm impressed.
Yeah, for sure. And so we have covered these real life applications of the ways that Jessi and Jared are demonstrating every single day care, respect, appreciation, and praise for the folks that are on their team and their respective roles through the Milk Source Group. Jeff, so I'm going to come back to you here. How else have you seen companies in agriculture take these principles and really turn them into real results through implementation and execution?
Well, I have dozens of clients who they initially said to me, well, that's our industry. They assumed that they couldn't change it, hogs or beef or whatever, say, well, that's the nature of our industry. Or I've even had this beyond ag, even like hospitality, say, well, that's our industry. And I've been able to break through that with them and say, well, you got to give this a try, because if you give it a try, you'll be amazed. And they embrace the philosophy, and they've seen turnover drop by 40 to 80%. or in Jared's case, basically by 100%. I mean, his turnover has pretty much disappeared. And to me, that's incredible. I mean, and that's what I've seen with a lot of people. And it feeds back to what Jessi said as well, is it made her, leaders don't realize, I tell them, forget about lowering turnover. Lower turnover, because you'd be surprised how much easier it makes your life. I mean, the people pitch in, and you got a regular crew, so your people know what they're to do, and they're jumping in and doing it, so that you don't have to be there all the time as a leader watching over them, and that's huge.
Yeah. So I want to take a moment, Jessi and Jared. Like, this is kind of a cool way to bring all of you together with the man that taught you some principles that have probably changed your satisfaction and your roles and what you do every day. What questions or what feedback do you want to provide specifically for Jeff?
Well, Jeff, if I have a question, were you nervous about using the C.R.A.P acronym in businesses? Were you maybe nervous that people would take it the wrong way?
Initially, I was, and then on a whim, I was doing an event at the Chrysler Corporation, and I had I knew what it stood for and everything like that, and I rolled out at Chrysler. I said, yeah, you got to give your employees crap, and there was dead silence in the room. And I had a bunch of VPs that reported to the chairman of the board, CEO and chairman of Chrysler. And nobody said anything, but then they loosened up a little bit. And then at the end, what happened was one of the vice presidents said, look, here's what Jeff talks about is fundamentals. It's blocking, it's tackling, running your routes crisply. He says, but the most important thing, he says, when you get out into your department and back to your department, he says, I want you to give your employees crap. And then I knew it was something that truly resonated, because these were very high-level people in a major corporation, and they thought that this would work. And that, but yeah, I did it kind of on a whim. I was a little scared, and when I first said it and nobody said anything, I thought, boy, talk about crap! I stepped in it. But no, and since then, I've only had one organization that has not wanted me to call it crap. So yeah, no, I was scared to death actually, and I thought I lost one of my biggest clients at that point. But no, if you play it too safe, you're vanilla, and when you're vanilla, it really doesn't get across to people.
Yeah. Well, I think we can all look at this example as an effective way of taking that message and getting it across, and not just getting it across, but as we've talked about, watching it be implemented and have a lasting impact, not just on these couple of folks on our call, but on the ripple of the people on their teams too. Jared, do you have any specific questions that you want to hit Jeff up for? This is kind of a cool opportunity that you get to just pick his brain about anything employee retention related today.
Yep, absolutely. Jeff, I just want to thank you again, because you nailed it on the head. It does make our life as leaders, managers, a lot nicer. And leaders that are responsible for overseeing some of the employees here as well. It's definitely made our day-to-day focus much more enjoyable. So I appreciate it.
And that's gratifying. Thank you.
That. It definitely is. The question that I have is, so how do you give praise to an employee that may need it more than someone right next to them, for example? It's an employee that not every employee is equal, right? So with the way that they accept praise, the way that they come to work, how they get through their day. So how do you give one employee praise that really needs it more often than someone right next to them? while being equal or respectful to everybody else on the team.
Well, that's why I tend to like personal praise as opposed to in front of a team. You see that person, that person needs that praise. You just watch more closely. And when you see him do some things that, and occasionally you go up to him and say, hey, Jared, you're here day in and day out, and I really appreciate it. And I want to make sure I want to tell you that what you do really impacts the team. And I just want to make sure that I tell you that. Yeah, kind of a little bit more involved. It gets into the praise aspect where you tie it into the organization and say, hey, what you do really makes an impact on the organization. Those kind of, I'll say, more involved praises really help for an employee like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, good question, Jared. Other questions from Jessi and Jared for Jeff while we have you guys all in the same virtual room today?
Nope, I think he did a really good job of talking about it. And my biggest question was, again, if he was scared to use the word crap.
Not in a room full of dairy folks.
Yeah, no, my wife, who is an accountant, is very conservative. And she says, oh, you can't say that. And and she even admitted to me the other day. She says, "Wow," she says, "I was really wrong." She says, "The crap message and the philosophy and the acronym really resonates with people and keeps a very serious topic in a very lighthearted way."
Oh, for sure. And it's been very successful, clearly, with this group in particular and many, many others. And Jeff, one question I have for you. So in my conversations with other dairy owners and managers, not everybody that is in a management role on a dairy is a people person. I mean, we're talking to Jared and Jessi that are amazing with people, but I know a lot of folks in management spots that, they are, part of their family business. They're owners of the dairy, and managing people has become something they have to do and maybe not their first choice. Like, these are the guys and gals that would be like, I would pick working with a cow over working with a person any day of the week. And Jared, you're laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking about here. So what's your advice for people who aren't like people to implement and hold themselves accountable to doing things like having conversations daily and going out of their way to, to show that respect, appreciation, and praise? Like, if you're not a people person, if you're a cow person over a people person, how can you implement this successfully? What are your tips?
Well, what I find is most people, there are very, very, very few people who don't see the value in people. And the one thing I like is that I think I'm able to boil it down so that even those people who sometimes may have become jaded over the years working with problematic people, I can show them how to easily do this stuff, and they can kind of ease into it. They try something and all of a sudden it works. They say, well, maybe I'll try the rest of the crap philosophy. And they start doing things like that. Most people, I find, generally see that people add value. That's been my experience. 95% of the people genuinely see that people add value. I just show them easy ways to acknowledge that value.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, so as far as implementation, if this isn't something that comes as second nature and naturally to someone that is in a spot where they do have a team, would you say, lowest hanging fruit is just make sure you're having that daily conversation like Jared talked about?
Yeah, I think looking, again, more, and even managers who don't consider themselves like people, they, especially when you start talking about a dairy farm, they know a lot about their folks. So, being able to say to them, hey, how was your week? I'm just saying, how was your weekend? And chatting with them about the weekend, or what do you got planned over the weekend? That sort of thing. It's easy, and they're probably doing it already, and doing that follow up. And it's not as hard as everybody thinks. And the other thing, I think that Jessi talked about it, I encourage people, look for people, catch people doing things right. If you switch that mindset, and that's easy for everybody to do, you switch that mindset, and before you know it, your people start to warm up, and then they say, wow, I've seen some success. This stuff maybe works, and they start doing other things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it just starts with those first simple actions that become the catalyst to propel forward for applying the rest of the care, respect, appreciation, and praise, and doing that consistently, like Jared talked about, being genuine and consistent in doing that. And having that greater vision of the culture that you wish to create. And we have these two great examples of managers that have done exactly that. So kudos to you, Jessi and Jared, for taking these principles, implementing them, executing on them, and now you get to enjoy some of the benefits of a team that is loyal and happy to come to work, and not just happy to come to work, but to do the extra things. And as Jared said, ask for that information to measure success together. As Jessi talked about, do those extra little things to help each other out. And those are the results. And we can speak to that as far as saving, money on turnover and everything else. But I mean, bigger picture at the end of the day, Jessi and Jared, how much of a difference does it make in your life, your work-life balance, your personal life and satisfaction to have a team that really works?
Yeah, I think part of it too is, we talk about this a lot, but you don't know what people are dealing with outside, these walls. And so when people come to work, we really want it to be a safe place, but we also want them to want to come to work and enjoy being at work. Enjoy being around people that value them. And I think that's why, this whole C.R.A.P philosophy kind of ties into that, is just people feeling valued. And again, I mean, you just never know what's going on. And, occasionally, we hear hardships that folks are going through, and it's just like, wow, you just have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't always realize the important role you have in their life outside of work.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too, Jessi. And I also want this to be somewhere, and I think we've made it that way, where they just see incredible opportunity on a personal level and on a work level, where possibly a lot of them, a lot of our employees never really imagined it could be possible. And we're a workplace where hopefully we continue to provide a lot of opportunity for them and their families for their future.
Yeah. And as we kind of wrap up with our episode here today, Jeff, I'm going to toss it back to you. So for a moment here, speak to our audience that is a lot of folks that are in the dairy industry. So whether they're on the on-farm production side, like Jared, which has its own set of challenges with employees, or in any other sector of agriculture, which, as you said, you've worked with, through that food production side as well, or like what Jessi's doing. What is that one message that you want to leave our listeners with when it comes to the subject of employee retention, which is what you really are an expert in, employee retention?
Well, things I always tell clients who say, well, this is our industry or whatever. And I, learned this from my high school wrestling coach. He said, if you believe you can't, you won't. If you believe you can, you will.
Good, solid words to leave us with today. Excellent. Anything else to add?
No. Again, kudos to both Jessi and Jared, because they've embraced the philosophy and it works. And you're shining examples of what I try to build when I go into organizations.
Yeah,
thank you.
For sure. And so before I let you guys off the call here, this is the time in the show when we put a couple of you in the hot seat to ask my 5 questions, the Uplevel 5. So Jared has heard these before, and you can go back to episode 1 of the Uplevel Dairy podcast to hear Jared's responses, which were, for the record, incredible. And side note, number 1 comment I get about your episode, Jared, was women that would really love for their husbands to listen to what you have to say.
Oh, boy.
So all those husbands out there that are listening to this episode, go back, listen to the last 10 minutes of Jared's episode. Your wives will thank you for it. But the 5 questions that I lay out here in the Uplevel 5 are all about your next level, personally and professionally, of performance and success and how you look at that. And so I'm going to direct these questions to Jessi and Jeff today. And so question number 1, I'm going to do Jessi here first. What does success look like to you?
Success to me is definitely embracing more of a servant style leadership, leading from behind. And I know Jared was talking about the respect that he gains working side by side with his team. And I think that just speaks volumes. It's one thing to stand up on a pedestal and kind of point the finger, but it's another to actually be in the grind with them. And we see that, throughout our company. I mean, just because you work in retail doesn't mean you're not going to help out in the plant. Putting boxes together or, helping, set forms up. So I think just like our philosophy, as a whole, as a company is, helping each other out. But I think when you can showcase that within your team, it's really hard for them not to want to do more for, their manager, but also their team members as well.
Yeah, that servant leadership approach, Jessi. Thank you for sharing that. And Jeff, what does success look like to you?
Well, success for me is seeing people like Jessi and Jared. Success for me is when I see success on the part of my clients.
Yeah. Yes. And we all get to see that shining through today.
It's awesome.
And so question number 2, Jessi, in 3 words, how do you want to show up each day?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because before I walk into work, I always do a little prayer to myself. And it's just really is, to get through the day with grace, humility, and discipline. And I just really try to work hard on those 3 things every single day.
Those are great. And Jeff, how about you? Your 3 words. How do you want to show up each day?
Always bring it.
Always bring it. Awesome. Well, thank you for bringing it today for the podcast. And question number 3, who are a couple of thought leaders or influencers that you follow?
Well, for me, I follow Joyce Meyer. I really like her non-legalistic approach to religion. Currently, I'm reading Mel Robbins' The High Five Habit. And she's an author and a motivational speaker. And her book is such an easy read, but I follow her a lot on Instagram, and I just really enjoy her message. And then I really like Gary Vee. He's a businessman. He really promotes kindness, but he's very, very gruff. And so he kind of has this no-nonsense approach to being successful. And I just really appreciate his message as well.
Awesome. And Jeff, for you, a couple of thought leaders that you follow.
One is Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is this. He's a sales guru, and I like him because he talks about always bringing it. You never leave it behind. He's one, and the other one I follow is Pastor Rick Warren.
Oh yes.
It's a purpose-driven life.
Yes, I have that book right there on my bookshelf behind us.
Awesome.
Jessi, what words do you live by?
Let go of your ego, amigo.
Ooh, good one. Very good. And Jeff, how about you? Words that you live by?
Well, words I live by is in the Bible, book of Isaiah. The Lord said, "Who shall I take?" And Isaiah said, "I am here. Take me." That's because I want clients to pick me because I know I can make a difference for them.
And you know what that says? It says that this book you read, The Purpose Driven Life, you're living it. You're living it. Thank you for that, Jeff. And last question of the Up Level 5. Jessi, what is your next personal up level? The area of your life that you are taking to the next level in this year ahead?
Oh, wow. I was just thinking about this the other day. Number one, being consistent. And I would say another big piece of that is just being okay, being uncomfortable. Especially as it pertains to goals. I just feel like sometimes it's so easy to say, well, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, or, the weather is bad, or, there could just be so many excuses. But, recognizing that yes is an excuse, but not an excuse not to move forward. So that is an area that I am really doubling down on.
Ah, good for you. Good for you. And Jeff, what's your next personal up level?
Well, my personal up level is I've been in CrossFit about 7 years. And I recently started doing powerlifting. And from a personal perspective, I want to really start to get into the powerlifting because I'm competitive, and I'm 66. And so for what it's worth, to be able to show folks my age that just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old.
Ah, that is some good wisdom, Jeff. And I'll be excited to track you on your journey in the powerlifting world. What's your goal?
Well, I'm competing in the Wisconsin State powerlifting competition on June 21st. So it'll be interesting to see how I do, because I actually won the Wisconsin Senior Olympics in the deadlift competition.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So but there's going to be some tough competition, and I'm just looking forward to getting in there, competing, and having fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Jeff. If you're looking to up your workout, I bet you could call up Jessi and she could get you on the floor flipping chunks of cheese at Clare. Or you could give Jared a call, and they do this thing, Jeff. They do this thing where they cover silage piles with tires, and it'd be an incredible workout. What do you think, Jared? Should you give Jeff a call when you guys cover the pile?
And I've done the tire thing in the CrossFit gym. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's game. You're welcome, Jared.
People just flock there to cover the bump. Yeah.
Bring the whole CrossFit crew for that one.
Yeah, really.
This has been so fun to have the author of this book, Jeff Kortes, and two folks that are taking those principles of care, respect, appreciation, and praise and acting them out every day with their teams within the Milk Source organization, Jared at Rosendale Dairy and Jessi at the Clare family Creamery. And thank you so much for joining us today on this Uplevel Dairy podcast. So if you are struggling to find, keep, and engage good employees, you are not alone. The Uplevel Dairy Employee Management Masters class is for you. And Jeff and I have been working on a package of online courses to help you learn how to improve your team efficiency and turnover, and that you can do all this and watch a set of training modules at your convenience. So if that's something that's interesting to you, go ahead and join our waitlist now, and you'll be the first to know when this offer is live in 2023. Go on to upleveldairy.com, sign up to receive notification through our Uplevel Dairy community, and you'll be the first to know when Uplevel Dairy's Managers Masterclass on Employee Management is available. This episode is sponsored by Uplevel Dairy Podcast founding partner Adisseo, a global leader in nutritional solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds. Feed is the greatest expense on any dairy operation. And don't you want to know that an adjustment to the ration will affect your bottom line? Adisseo empowers producers and nutritionists to make informed ration balancing decisions with MilkPay.com. Customizable to your dairy's own data, this profitability calculator puts the power of real-time milk market information in the palm of your hand. Find out how much your latest ration change is really costing you with the free MilkPay app available on iOS and through milkpay.com. And please follow us at Uplevel Dairy Podcast. Go ahead and leave your reviews and comments. Join our email list at upleveldairy.com. Thank you for listening to the Uplevel Dairy Podcast. I'm your host, Peggy Coffeen. And if you like what you heard today, go ahead and head on over to upleveldairy.com to read the blog and join the Uplevel Dairy email list so you can receive new podcasts, blogs, and special offers coming soon from Uplevel Dairy straight in your inbox. To listen to more episodes, head over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, and don't forget to rate and review. Connect with me, Peggy at upleveldairy.com, and follow Uplevel Dairy on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.